Hello, I'm Bood and welcome to the channel as always. Thanks for joining me. Did you know that a recent survey has voted my subscribers as the best looking and the coolest in the FM community? So if you are brand new, you want to join the family because you definitely fit the bill, make sure you hit that subscribe button and all of you hit the bell and you'll never miss one of my future videos. But all the support I get, thumbs up, comments, everything else, and I appreciate every bit of it, especially my patrons. You guys are the fucking best. Right, Mbappe versus Haaland. Where's this video come from? Well, not too long ago there was a bit of a debate on the TV. I was watching a football game or something. Thierry Henry, or as they call him in France, Thierry Henry. I think he was asked who he'd rather build a team around, Haaland or Mbappe, and he chose Mbappe. You don't know, is it the French connection or, you know, is he right? So I thought, let's try and put it in an experiment as best I can, as fair as I can. Under similar circumstances if I can, and let's see who can do the best over a 5-year period for Manchester City. Yeah, so I've put a few things in place. I'm going to go through them, show you how it works. We'll jump forward 5 years into the future, we'll compare them. I've done a little graph thing for you, sort of a graph. I'm gonna have a look, so let's get into it. So of course the full game has now been released, which means you get access to the pre-game editor, and this is the first little experiment I've used the editor for. But the first thing I always do is go on the players and just see who the best players are according to the game, especially the two I'm using in today's experiment, which is Mbappe and Haaland. Now apparently, I mean, it's got Kevin De Bruyne up there for current ability. So current ability wise, Kevin De Bruyne is the best player, and Mbappe is second with 188 and Haaland is fourth with 185. But then it's the potential. Mbappe is 196. Haaland's peak potential is 178. Now, if you actually go into him individually, that is different. This is current ability is 185. It's the editor. It can be funny. But Kylian Mbappe, according to the game, is slightly better than Haaland. Now I know they are different players. They are. But so are Messi and Ronaldo, but I see these two as like the heirs to their thrones. Do you know what I mean? They're the two best young forwards probably in the world. You couldn't really argue against that. Some people might. But they are different, like Ronaldo and Messi. But I still want to know, is Henry right? If I put these two into the same position as best I can, who will come out on top? Who will win more trophies? Who will score more goals? We're going to find out, aren't we? So here we are with the first experiment. I'm going to do Haaland first. So what I've done to try and keep it as fair as possible, because it's impossible to have it exactly the same, because, you know, you're doing a simulation, I'm doing it over 5 years. There could be injuries to key players that help these players be better. The game might sign a player that's helped them and not sign it on the other guy's simulation. There might be certain injuries the other player doesn't get and one does. So you can't be perfect. But what I've done is to try and make sure it's as close as possible, is I've given Pep Guardiola a future transfer. So that usually will lock a manager in, usually. I don't think he'll get the sack. So Pep Guardiola is guaranteed to be the manager while Haaland is there and while Mbappe is there. So that keeps it sort of fair. Then to make sure Haaland stays at City, because he can do, he might do. But there's always a chance, you know what this game's like, that he could leave. Maybe he'd go to PSG and bugger it all up. I've given him a future transfer in 5 years to Real Madrid. So he's locked in, guaranteed for them 5 years. And then just to make sure that Mbappe isn't bought by City, because that can happen, I've locked him into PSG for those 5 years. So he won't interfere with Haaland and City. He'll stay there. And then he'll be off to Real Madrid, although we'll never see what happens with that. And then when I run Mbappe's experiment, I've just swapped it round. So I've sent Haaland to PSG, locked him in for 5 years, and put Mbappe at City and locked him in for 5 years, and they both got future transfer fees to Real Madrid. It just stops them clashing. Do you know what I mean? Keeps them where I want them to be. So let's quickly go back to Haaland. And, you know, I am a Manchester United fan. If you're brand new, you don't know that, but I still think he's a top player. Nothing against him. I quite like him. I'm going to lay it on the line right now. Personally, if I had a choice, I'd build my team around Haaland. I made a video last year called The Cheat Code about him. But I just like him. Whenever I think of Mbappe, I think of the shit that comes on around him and goes on around him and the controversy around him, and I don't know. Personally, I'd choose Haaland. Like I said, the different players. He's an out-and-out striker. 6'5", I mean, I'm a big guy at 6'3", but he is 6'5". He's an absolute beast. He's elite. He's quick. He's strong. He's determined. He's off the ball's great. His composure is great. His anticipation is great. His finishing is great. He can take a penalty. His all-round game's really, really good. He's a beast, isn't he? Now here is Mbappe, and I think, was he some moaning recently because he was playing out wide, I think? And he wants to play out as a striker. Let me know if I'm wrong. I'm sure he has been moaning, but he does moan. Have you seen how much he's on a week, by the way? Is that real? I know he's on a lot. I know he's got his crazy deal with PSG, but wow. But yeah, he's a different player. Striker, mainly. An elite striker, but he can play out naturally on the left. He can cover on the right. So, you know, he gives you more. He's a different player. He's got technique, first touch dribbling, things that Haaland doesn't have on this game. But he's quicker as well. He's off the ball's good. His composure's good, the same. He's got flair. Not as determined, but like I said, a different player. And they both have this man as their manager for their time at Manchester City, who is a top manager. People knock him. I've knocked him in the past. You know, he came into a Barcelona team. It's one of the best teams ever. Generational talent. Took over a treble-winning Bayern. He's come to City with loads of money, but you still have to be a good manager, and he is a good manager. I mean, his contract naturally runs out in 2023, and there are rumours that he's going to leave. I don't think he will. Where would he go after this? He's got it so good. I don't think he will, unless he just wants to chill out. I don't know. So yeah, what we're going to do now is, hopefully it's quite a short video, quite easy, quite quick. Just what I see, and the stats and what comes out. We're going to jump 5 years into the future, and we'll look at Haaland first. So here we are. It's the 28th of June. He is days away from leaving on a free to Real Madrid. 27. He's now only 26 years old. I mean, technically, he's a year off his peak, apparently. But it looks like he's improved a bit. He's still a great player. He's scored, that'll be league games at the bottom, 103 and 176 games. I mean, we're going to have a look at them all over. But I think I'll show you, I'll break it down a bit better for you towards the end. So here we are. Looks like he's been regular for those 5 years. He had 1 year there. That's surprising. Whenever I've had Haaland in my team, I did a Project 23 with Dortmund on FM23. He was a beast. I mean, I think it was like 40 odd goals a season. He's not broke the 30 mark, which I don't think is realistic, because I think, look at him now in real life, he's a machine. I don't think he's human. I think he's a robot. But I mean, his average rating was amazing. Now, feel free to pause it and have a look through this if you want. One thing I will say is, he didn't win a Ballon d'Or. No, Benzema won it, Salah, Lewandowski twice, and then Mbappe at PSG. So Mbappe's won 1 on his, not his own experiment, but he has won 1. So, don't know what that says. And here is Pep. He's still there, just to prove that he's still there. He's leaving to Real Madrid. I know it's not, I don't think that would ever happen because of his Barcelona connections, but I was just send them all to Real Madrid. It's easy peasy. So, we've looked at Haaland. We had a quick look at his history, and you've maybe paused it and a look at his biography. We will break down and compare side by side who won what with my little graphic thing I've made. It took me like all of 5 minutes. So here we are now. It's the 28th of June again, 2027, with Mbappe, who is 28 years old. He's a bit older than Haaland. Just a fucking cracking player. By the looks of it, he's played 164 league games. Only scored 78 though. But we'll do an all-over comparison at the end. I mean, he's a great player. But I definitely would. I just like Haaland. I don't know why, even though he'd give you more options, wouldn't he? I mean, I'm going to be well interested to see the comments and see what you guys think. So this is his City career. In the league, he hasn't scored as many as Haaland, has he? He's had a 20-goal season. He's had an 11-goal season. I expected more from him as well, but has he been pushed out because he can to play out wide on that left? And that is a thing. It might have happened to him, might it? Again, a quick look at his biography. I'm not going to run through it. Feel free to pause it if you want to nosy. Now, he won a Ballon d'Or in Haaland's simulation. Did Haaland win a Ballon d'Or for PSG? Did Mbappe win one for Man City? No. Obviously, Benzema got it. Lewandowski won it this time instead of Salah, but then Salah won the next two, so they've like done a swap. And then Young Junior himself from Real Madrid, he's won it. So, I mean, they've come second and third. I mean, I see him win Ballon d'Ors. I did last year. I expected more Ballon d'Ors. And again, just to show you, Pep Guardiola is still there. It does seem to lock a manager in when you put a future transfer in place for one of them. It helps with stuff like this. Now again, like I said earlier, there might have been certain injuries. There might have been things slightly different for each player, right? But I think I did it best I can. I'm sure someone out there will be like, "Ooh, you should have done this." But I think it's pretty fair. So let's go to my little graphic and compare them both. So here we are with Mbappe and Haaland's head-to-head. And I'm going to start with injuries. So I went on their injury lists for Manchester City. And Mbappe, in his 5 years, only spent 15 weeks out injured. It's pretty good. Haaland, who can pick up a niggle, can't he, spent 25 weeks out. So he played 10 weeks less, or had an opportunity to play 10 weeks less. Games-wise, so I went through every year with my calculator, because I'm not the best at maths, and added total games. Mbappe played a total of 248 games compared to Haaland's 257, so not too much difference. Goals-wise, Mbappe got 139, Haaland nearly 20 more, 157. But looking at Mbappe, he did play mainly as a striker, but he did have moments out on the left. And he ain't too far behind, is he? I mean, there's an argument there, isn't there? Do you know what I mean? He gets injured less, same amount of games, he's not going to get much of a less of a goal return, and you can still put him out in a different position if needs be. So, you know, he could sway over to Mbappe, really, couldn't it? But if we move on to league titles, Mbappe only managed to win 3. So City won 3 out of those 5. But Haaland, up top for City, they won the league every single season. Over to Champions Leagues. This is where it's different. And this is where you think, is Haaland a player for the league? He'll help you win leagues. But Mbappe is that European flair player that will get the Champions Leagues, because he won 4 compared to Haaland's 1. Onto the FA Cup. Mbappe only picked up 1 to Haaland's 2. The Carabao Cup, Mbappe picked up 2 to Haaland's 3. And then obviously neither of them won a Ballon d'Or in their own simulation. So just looking at that, domestically, with Haaland in the team, they were better. But if you want Champions League trophies, you're looking at Mbappe there, aren't you? So there we go, that is the end of the video. Nice short, hopefully, little video. A quick look at something that's been in my head for a good few days. I've just been waiting to get my hands on the editor. First experiment of this year on FM23. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Personally, I'd still pick Haaland, I'll be honest with you. But, you know, Mbappe's class, and I liked how it was kind of different. How Haaland was more like a domestic, helped him domestically, but Mbappe just romped home with those Champions Leagues. And the stats were quite close, really. But then you could argue, but Haaland spent 10 weeks out the game more and he still managed to score more. So it's one of those debates. It's like a Ronaldo-Messi debate. People can never agree. There's always pros and there's cons. But I want to know what you think. Who would you build your team around? If you got the money, or, you know, to have one of these players at some point in the game and you want one, who would you pick? Who do you prefer in real life? Who do you think is the better player? Get involved in the comments. Thank you as always for watching. All the support I get is fantastic. Patreon thumbs up, comments, any new subscribers, and any of you guys who press the bell, but most of all your view. That is the most important thing, that you've sat here with me and listened. And before I go, if you are a fan of my Oldham series, I was humming and ahhing if I was going to do a 4th season. I'm like over halfway through it already. I'm definitely doing it. It'll be out very soon. I'm going to get to work on that tonight. So yeah, Oldham episode 4, meat pie sausage roll, coming to a YouTube channel of mine very soon. So yeah, thank you as always. Stay happy, stay safe. I'm Bood. Bye bye.